Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Ruach Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Mark, the second chapter. And again, he entered into Capernaum after some days, and it was noised that he was in the house. So word got out that he was in where he was staying over there. And straightway many were gathered together, insomuch that there was no room to receive them, no, not so much as about the door. And he preached the word unto them. So the house was filled, outside was filled, there was no space for anybody. And they came unto him, bringing one sick of the palsy, which was born of 4. He was carried by 4. So he was likely, had some form of paralysis. So they bring him, right, and they could not come nigh unto him. They couldn't get close to him for the press, being the crowd. They uncovered the roof, right? So when they saw they couldn't get around, they couldn't get through, they went to the roof and broke it up. And when they had broken it up, they let down the bed wherein the sick of the palsy lay. When Yahushua saw their faith, he said unto the sick of the palsy, Son, thy sins be forgiven thee. But there were certain of the scribes sitting there and reasoning in their hearts, Why doth this man thus speak blasphemies? Who can forgive sins but God only? And immediately, when Yahushua perceived in his spirit that they so reasoned within themselves, he said unto them, Why reason ye these things in your heart? Whether is it easier to say to the sick of the palsy, Thy sins be forgiven thee, or to say, Arise and take up thy bed and walk? So which is easier to say? But that ye may know that the Son of Man hath power on earth to forgive sins, he saith to the sick of the palsy, I say unto thee, Arise and take up thy bed, and go thy way into thine house. So he's saying, to show you that I have the power to forgive sins, am I doing this? And now he commands him to stand up, and he stands up. And by seeing the demonstration of that power, they would be able to know truly indeed, if he is able to heal this man, surely he is able to forgive his sins by just the word alone. And immediately he arose and took the bed and went forth before them all, insomuch that they were all amazed and and glorified God, saying, We never saw it on this fashion. So they had never seen it like this before. And he went forth again by the seaside, and all the multitudes resorted unto him, and he taught them. And as he passed by, he saw Levi the son of Alphaeus sitting at the receipt of custom, and said unto him, Follow me. And he arose and followed him, and that Levi is Matthew. And it came to pass that as Yahushua sat at meat in his house, that's Matthew's house, many publicans and sinners sat also together with Yahushua and his disciples, for there were many that followed him. And when the scribes and Pharisees saw him eat with publicans and sinners, they said unto his disciples, How is it that he eateth and drinketh with publicans and sinners? When Yahushua heard it, he saith unto them, They that are whole have no need of the physician. And who is a physician? Yahushua. Who are the whole? Those that are claiming to be righteous. So, as he says, but they that are sick, I came not to call the righteous, but sinners to repentance. See? So if you're already whole, right, you're already righteous, then I'm not here for you. I'm here for those that are sick, because I'm the physician. And the disciples of John and the Pharisees used to fast. And they came and say unto him, Why do the disciples of John and the Pharisees fast, but thy disciples fast not? And Yahushua said unto them, Can the children of the bride chamber fast while the bridegroom is with them? As long as they have the bridegroom with them, they cannot fast. Right, so while the bridegroom is there, why would the wedding guests fast? Right, it's celebratory. NLT, Yahushua replied, Do wedding guests fast while celebrating the groom? Of course not. They can't fast while the groom is with them. But the days will come when the bridegroom shall be taken away from them. And Yahushua was referring to when he would return back to the spirit world. And then shall they fast in those days. No man also sueth a peace. And the examples he's giving here in 21 and 22 is how you couldn't, like in 21, you can't put a piece of new cloth on an old garment, and you can't put new wine in old bottles. And he was basically saying, you're asking me why I'm not conforming to your old structures, your systems, how the disciples of John do things, how the disciples of the Pharisees do things. But there's something different here, right? You can't fit or conform the gospel or the doctrine or the way in which Yahushua taught and was on the scene to how they had already set things up, right? He was like the anomaly here at this time because he was bringing forth that new way. And that's why people would always say that they would be astonished at his doctrine because it was uncommon. So as he says, no man seweth a new piece of cloth on an old garment, else the new piece that filled it up taketh away from the old, and the rent is made worse. And I'll read both of these in the NLT once I get through them. And no man putteth new wine into old bottles, else the new wine doth burst the bottles, and the wine is spilled, and the bottles will be marred. But new wine must be put into new bottles. So now, let's take a look at this in the NLT. Besides, who would patch old clothing with new cloth? For the new patch would shrink and rip away from the old cloth, leaving an even bigger tear than before. Right, because it's a different fabric and it's a newer fabric, so it's more likely to shrink at a different pace than the old garment. And verse 22, it says, and no one puts new wine into old wineskins. So these bottles are not like glass bottles like you have today. These are wineskins, right? And so as the pressure of the new wine builds, the old wineskins being already worn out would burst, right? It wouldn't be strong enough to withhold that pressure of the new wine in it. And that's why you have to put, as it says, for the wine would burst the wineskins, and the wine and the skins would be lost. New wine calls for new wineskins. And it came to pass that he went through the cornfields on the Sabbath day, and his disciples began as they went to pluck the ears of corn. And the Pharisees said unto him, behold, why do they on the Sabbath day that which is not lawful? And he said unto them, have ye never read what David did when he had need and was hungered, he and they that were with him? How he went into the house of God in the days of Abiathar the high priest, and did eat the shewbread, which is not lawful to eat but for the priests, and gave also to them which were with him. Right, and when you go into the law, it tells you that only the priests, those that are holy, are to eat of the showbread or the shewbread. But David ate it out of necessity. And he said unto them, the Sabbath was made for man, and not man for the Sabbath. Therefore, the Son of Man is Lord also of the Sabbath. And let's read this in the NLT as well. It says, then Yahushua said unto them, the Sabbath was made to meet the needs of the people, not people to meet the requirements of the Sabbath. So, in you trying to use it as a condemnatory measure, that's not the real purpose of the Sabbath. Okay. And that brings us to the end of the book of Mark, the 2nd chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rachak, Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.